guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about creating an epic life on your terms. Today we're talking about all drama, and particularly all drama we can't let go of. Particularly as INFJs, it's very hard because not only do we obsess over things that seems like nobody else does, but on top of everything, we feel guilty for it. We don't tell anybody about it, and it seems like there's no way out. We're so focused on this one thing. This has become part of our identity, part of our personality. And how in the world are we supposed to change that reality? Well, I know that feeling, but I also know there's a great way to get out of it, a way that actually works for INFJs, and that not only changes the way you feel about the situation, but changes you altogether. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you want to take the next step in creating your epic life, then sign up for the bootcamp or work with me privately. All the information you find below. So first off, let's define all drama. It can be in many cases that we just obsess over a person, somebody who did us wrong. It could be an old ex, it could be an old boss, it could be a situation where you felt shamed and guilted into anything that made you feel bad. But it can also be a situation, as in you were forced by circumstances to live in a particular way that just doesn't make you feel good. And the problem with all of this is that as long as you're not able to let go of it, you always keep on carrying it with you. And when you keep carrying it with you, you cannot create a new reality. So often people say, okay, why is it so hard to imagine this new reality for myself, to set those goals? We cannot do this because our mind is still focused on that old reality. And on top of everything, it feels so real that we feel isolated because of it. Because it seems like nobody else holds on to things so much. We don't know how to approach it. But let me make this very clear. This is completely normal. There's nothing to feel bad about, and there's no such thing as, okay, pretend it never happened. It's also not going to work to say, cut all communication off, cut everything out that reminds you of that situation. You know, let's take, for example, you obsessed with an old ex who didn't do you right. And everybody tells you, just don't look what they're doing on social media, don't think about them, and out of sight, out of mind. But we know it's not that easy. We know, because we as INFJs, we absorb so much of our environment. If for the longest time we have been focusing on a particular way of looking at reality, meaning, for example, you imagined how you could be together with that person, you could all be happy, that person would finally start acting in a way that would be beneficial for both of you, all those imaginations we had, this has become part of our reality. This has become part of who we are. We have created a goal of where we're going towards. And once we've done that, it's extremely hard to change that narrative. So if somebody tells you, okay, just cut it off, is like saying if you are addicted to drugs to say, okay, just stop from one day to the other. Most of the time, it's not that easy. And going cold turkey with something that isn't as bad as drugs or something that is bad for your health is that much harder. Because if you look at your world, nothing really bad happens because you still obsess over that thing that happened 5 years ago. It seems like it, at least. Nobody can see it. We hide it from everybody. It doesn't have an effect on your physical health. At least it seems like it. We all know in the end that that kind of stress has a huge impact on our health. And so we have all our environment and everybody we know unknowingly enabling us to keep on going down that path. So what's the catch? What is going to make the difference for us INFJs? Again, we come to the point, slow and steady wins the race. If you tell yourself, I have to cut this out completely, I shouldn't be thinking about it, you're still having it in the back of your mind. It's still a belief system that you carry within you. Most of the time, it is even deeper than that. Because let's say, for example, that ex never paid you enough attention like the way you deserved, or you're the one who had to take care of everything. Then there's this underlying belief that this is part of who you are. You have to be the one who takes care more of other people than they take care of you. That's the only way you'll get appreciation. And there's so many examples of it. So we have to, on the one hand, tackle what's going on underneath, and second of all, change the narrative in a very particular and small way. So one way to do this is, for example, to start telling yourself that that person, that image that you had of that person is not reality. It is not reality to begin with. I know so many of us have such a great understanding of people, and we can make up in our mind who they really are by having just a small set of information. I used to be like this because in comparison to other personality types and other people that I've seen in my life, I was really good at it. I was able to see a person, talk to them a couple of times, maybe just listen to the kind of music they were listening to, and I had this perfect image of who they are. And this felt so real to me, nobody could convince me of anything else. In my mind, in my INFJ mind, I was not able to distinguish between what is my imagination and what is reality. And as long as I didn't want to admit to myself that the way I saw reality was false, I couldn't change anything about my way of living, my behavior, or anything that comes from that. So the first step is to understand that our mind lies to us. And it doesn't do it because there's something wrong with us or because we want to hurt ourselves. It's because we have not understood to this point that we cannot make decisions based on that small spectrum of information. In a lot of ways, it has kept us safe. As long as we didn't have to look at the shortcomings of our thoughts, we wouldn't have to challenge our ego. And those shortcomings, or let's call them our illusions that we have, they don't have to be based on the fact, oh, we see everything always so positive. It's also about the image we have about ourselves. We can be completely misaligned with our worldview from a perspective of, I don't value myself enough. So once I understood I have to change something about it, I cannot keep going like this, because what happened, I was close to a reality break. I had this perfect image of who I am, who that person is, and reality didn't play out that way. Reality showed me a different picture over and over again, and at some point I couldn't fight reality. At some point I had to see, okay, that is not that perfect person that I always thought they were. That's not the person who would be my ideal partner, for example, or like that great boss who could be your mentor, or whatever it is that you're taking with you. It can also be that you say, okay, my old school teacher didn't have a great opinion about me, and I respected them so much because they were so smart, so they were right, and there's something fundamentally wrong with me. But reality will catch up with you. And the cool thing about reality is that you can change it looking forward. There are certain things you have to accept about what's going on right now and what is good for you, but you can also look at it from a perspective of what worldview makes sense for me? What worldview is the most beneficial to me? So thinking of myself as somebody who's weak, thinking of myself as a victim, thinking of myself as not being good enough, and that's why people didn't want to be with me or people didn't listen to my ideas, that kind of worldview is not beneficial to me. That's a fact. We all know that. And knowing that, we can change the narrative. We decide how we want to think about a certain situation. And as I said, it's not going to happen overnight, and it's definitely not going to happen by you just cutting certain situations out of your life or worldviews or whatever other people might do, because they just don't work with us. Our convictions are so strong, and this can be a huge benefit in anything you create. The reason why I was able to get the channel and the movement and my entire business so far is because I had a conviction of this is how I want my life to be, and I held on to it through the years where it didn't bring me any income, through the years where nobody had any understanding of what I'm doing or didn't think it was anything cool. That was my conviction. That was why I was able to pull through. But that is also the reason why you get stuck on people and on any kind of old drama that is keeping you stuck in that situation. It's that same conviction. So it's a bucket full of water, a really heavy one. And once you're able to put that bucket that's so heavy into a place where it makes sense to you, you will stay there for a long time. You will not budge. That's the good thing. The bad thing is it takes a lot of work to get that bucket out and to put it somewhere else. So if I tell you overcoming old drama in a lot of cases took me years, I'm talking about 3-4 years. And the younger I was, the longer I took things with me. That is the reality of it. But once you're able to do that, you will be able to overcome it forever. Other people maybe, when they're not INFJs, they have the same bucket, but it's barely filled with water. It's really easy to just get that out of that current situation and put it somewhere else, and then you forget about everything that happened before. With us, it's a little different. So know yourself. Know that you cannot expect of yourself to make those sudden changes, that there's nothing to feel embarrassed about because you had those things going on in your life. That does not mean, of course, that you should share it with everybody who has no understanding of what you're going through or how hard this is for you. Be open, for example, in this community, join the boot camp, talk to us. We understand what's going on, but most importantly, be kind to yourself and have that understanding and that compassion for yourself that it's just not going to work so fast. But that does not mean that you can't start laying the foundation of your new life today. It just means that you have to be okay with carrying that weight a little bit longer. That it's okay to make those small shifts. Because as long as we're making that movement into a direction where we want to be, things are going to be fine. They're going to be perfect. We just got to give ourselves that time. So how do we do that? Well, on the one hand, we start setting goals goals with that person not being in our life, with that old story as if it never have happened. Of course it happened. Of course it will change us. At some point, hopefully, you can look at this with gratitude because that situation was the catalyzer of you changing your life. That's where we want to get to. We want to get to a point where you can forgive that person, you can forgive that situation, but not in a way how this could ever happen again. So we start setting those goals. We start looking at our current reality of what's really going on in our life right now. Where do you live? Where do you want to live? What kind of friends do you have? How is your job? How is your financial situation? Pretty much the 5 pillars to an epic life. By the way, the free poster you can download below because these are the 5 areas that you can look into where you can set goals, you can track your progress, and you can see how your life is moving in the direction that makes sense for you. It's an epic life on your terms. And it does not include certain people. That epic life of yours, that is the most important thing, has to work without having to think about that one person, that one situation, or anything like that. It's about a vision, it's about a feeling, and the only thing and the only person who's certain in that situation is you. You set the tone, and then you see what kind of people and what kind of situations make sense for that life. So that being said, how do we deal with that old drama? We take it on with us and make it a point to minimize our confrontation with that, and knowing very well that it's not going to happen overnight. I very often talk about if we change our reality, it's like turning a glove around. A glove that first was looking into this side and then pulling it all the way out. Right now, that bucket of our energy is focused on that thing that is our old drama that is keeping us back, and we want to put it towards the things that we plan. See, this is a very important step. If you don't have something you can obsess over in a positive way, something that you can envision, something that you can gravitate towards, if you don't have that, how do you ever expect to let that old thing go? It's hard to begin with to let that thing go while having a new vision, while working towards something new. Not even having that, and you're always going to be focused on that because our mind is addicted to emotions. Our mind is addicted to any kind of stimulation, and that stimulation can be negative. We're rather going to be addicted to negative stimulation than not any stimulation at all. So if you want to make it easy for yourself to let go of that, you need that new thing. And that's why it's so good to watch those videos, to take part of the workshops that I'm offering this month, to sign up for the bootcamp, to do things that keep you on track. I love the saying of stay in the room. Focus on where you want to go, and you'll be that much easier to let this thing go. So now that we're working on getting all of this energy that is focused here on the old drama into the new one, let's pretend there's a new bucket here, there's the old bucket here, and we take all of our energy in order to get a little bit out of water over here and then put it over here. One of the great things we can do is to remove the anchors that are keeping this bucket here. Those anchors are making it that much harder on us. And those anchors could be that you tell yourself that person is a good person. That person is somebody who did everything right and I'm just not good enough. Or it could be they couldn't see what I can offer. Or it could just be that this is like an old boss who continuously told you, oh, you're not fast enough, you're not good enough, like why are you even trying? And tells you those stories, and on some level you believe that. It could also be old coworkers who just didn't want to be friends with you. And the anchor in the situation is that you believe it yourself. You yourself see it as a reality. That's why it makes sense to hold on to this. So those little shifts will go a long way because they will help us step by step to pull out those anchors, to pull out those roots. So it's going to be that much easier to remove that energy from here over here. So start with something small. Start telling yourself new stories which are more in alignment with who you want to be. Remember, our future reality is something we can design. So I can decide how I see myself. Do I want to see myself as somebody who's stoic? Do I want to see myself as somebody who's kind? Do I want to see myself as somebody who never gives up? We can create that version of ourselves. And in comparison to that, once we change who we are, we automatically change absolutely every dynamic we have with the people in our life and also the dynamic with the people that used to be in our life. So if up until this point you had this old boss that always made you feel bad and you said, well, they're just doing their job. They just want me to do my work faster because I'm not fast enough. I'm the slow learner. I'm the person who just can't make it happen. There's nothing wrong with them. Then the new mindset would be, the way I think is correct. I do this the way I do it because I want to understand it, because I had good intentions. And if that person couldn't see it, then there's a lack in their understanding. They don't belong into my world. Remember, what we're doing is we create a reality where you're the center point of everything. You're the leading character of your movie. You're the one who sets the rules. And we want to get to a mindset where the only thing that matters is how you feel about it. Remember, you're not taking anything away from anybody. It's not that you're not open to compromise. It's not that you're not interested in what other people want to say. But in your life, your preferences have to matter most. That ensures that you give to yourself first so you can give to others. There's nothing selfish about it. This is just the way you create the most abundance, not only for yourself, but for everybody around you. So change the way you see that person. Maybe that person isn't as great as you thought. Maybe you can get to a point where you don't have all that anger because you felt powerless towards them. And you take the power back to you by telling yourself, I'm so thankful that person was in my life. That person was a teacher. On a soul level, they helped me to recognize what I have to take care of, when in the past, I was hoping my environment would take care of that for me. In the past, I allowed the people around me to give me the feeling of how I'm supposed to feel because I didn't want to take responsibility for it, and I didn't know that it was even possible. But now you know. So those kind of changes are something that you have to keep telling you day in and day out. And that it's okay to fall back off the wagon and to look at that person again from this perspective of, oh, what a great person and I'm the bad guy here, or anything else that kept you in that old reality. It's okay to go back there. It happens. You cannot judge yourself for it because it's a very hard thing to break. And as long as you are kind to yourself and know that it's going to take long, you're that much more likely to change it. It's a lifestyle change. We don't want to do a crash diet here, because if you do that, then even if you're able to let go of that one situation, the underlying story will never ever go away, and you'll see the next thing that gives you the same emotion, that gives you the same negative stimulation, that gets you back focusing on the things you don't want. So give yourself the time to look at that old drama step by step. Focus on the new thing and then aim to tell yourself stories that make that old thing less and less important to you. You don't have to tell anybody about it. I know this is a very sensitive topic. If this is something that keeps you stuck in this loop over and over again and you obsess over this person or over this situation for years, and most people will not understand it, but you have to be the one who is your best friend in that situation and who is proud of you if for 2 days you were able to let go of thinking about this. So do those 2 steps. Focus on the new thing. Remember that you have to change your mindset around what happened. You create a new story about what happened. You change the way you look at that person. Maybe think of another person and imagine, how can I look at that first person just the way I look at that second person? And to make those little steps happen over and over again. Telling yourselves, I have to stop thinking about this altogether, doesn't work. If it would have worked, you would have been able to do this probably 3 years ago. But if you're still keeping this with you, it's deeper than that. And we have to give ourselves the time to make that happen. And remember, it's how I always say, how do you change your scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset? Even if 95% of your entire day is negative from your current perspective and only 5% are good, maybe it was the great coffee you drank in the morning, maybe it was that nice conversation that you had with your friend, but still it's only 5% of your day, everything else is negative. You focusing on those 95% which are negative and trying to change that isn't going to help you. The way out of it is to focus on those 5% and increase them step by step. Even if they're right now only 5% and you say there's no way these 5% could ever get more than, let's say, 7, aim for the 7%. Once you're at those 7%, you'll be able to see that you can make it to 14, and then it's 28, and then it's 56, and like the story goes on and on. Before you know it, you've changed your entire reality. You've turned that glove inside out. And it's the exact same thing with old drama. Acknowledge the power that this old reality has had on you. Give it the respect it deserves for all that time it got stuck on you. You have to acknowledge it in order to be able to change it. Give yourself time to take it step by step. Be kind to yourself. Remove those anchors step by step by changing the story of what happened and focusing on that new thing. Remember, you need that new story. You need those new goals. Even if you think now, who cares about those goals? They're not going to change my life. I'm still going to feel like this. Trust me, they will. If you have goals that make your life better, you will get excited about the fact that you are fighting for yourself, that you are your best friend. And that's what's gonna make you get excited about building that new life. It's not just about the results. They will only happen as a byproduct. It's about who you become in the process, which is somebody who believes in yourself, somebody who fights for yourself, and somebody who wants to have that epic life. I can guarantee you, knowing both sides of the story, being somebody who never thought that this could be possible for me, that I could be excited about my life, how I always only dreamt about it in movies or saw in my dreams, and I never thought that could be. It is possible, and it's not as far away of your life as you think it is. It's about those daily steps you keep making over and over again that teach you that you matter, that you are your best friend, and you're not gonna stop fighting for yourself. So if you want my help in this process, remember to sign up for the bootcamp or work with me privately. All the information you find below. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, watch the video on INFJs being misunderstood. Because once you understand why people misunderstand you, it's that much easier to start fighting for yourself. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.